We are talking NASCAR on a Saturday once again on Proline TV. It is the first NASCAR starting lineup report for the new season. I'm your host, Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you want to find out what we talked about regarding the Daytona 500 the last couple of weeks, there are links in the description of this video. CJ Radoon, award-winning fantasy writer from RotoWire.com, of course, is with me all season. We put our analysis, our heads together, our picks. You can check that out on either one of those shows that are available in the description area of this video. We also had an off-season report as well. So you can all check that kind of cool stuff out just by going into the description area. What we're going to do today and every week is take a look at what happened in qualifying and practice. Of course, that's going to happen usually a few days, 3 to 4 days after we do our weekly show every Tuesday. And that definitely means that after qualifying and practice, our minds could change slightly. For the most part, I don't think they change a whole lot, but they could definitely change depending on how the results are every week. The Daytona qualifying and practice results are of least importance, though, normally. So I don't think we have too much to worry about regarding changing our minds from our initial picks, which actually took place not this past Tuesday, but a week prior. That's how confident we were that we were not going to change our minds with practice or qualifying, nor have we. All right. So another thing I want to update you guys on is we're going to be a part of a DraftKings weekly contest. This past week, since it was the first one, we only had a $2 entry fee, and we wanted to test that out. We also had it made public, and it is all sold out. So we only had 25. We wanted to test it out. We gave our viewers more than enough time to enter. So I certainly hope our viewers entered. Let us know if you're an avid viewer, if you guys definitely entered the contest. This way I have a good idea, both me and CJ, if we're going to be able to allow a contest every week just with our viewers. If not, then we'll make it public. And instead of having just 25, maybe we'll boost it up to 50 or more. So, of course, the more you boost it up, the more money that we can make, even if we just enter a couple of bucks. So let us know what you think about the contest. Because, again, I prefer to keep this private. This is how the setup is over at DraftKings. And I am also going to give you 4 drivers between CJ's picks and my picks that we have entered in the contest. So we're not going to give you all of them because we could be competing with you in the contest. So we are going to give you 4. You could also take a look at our picks in the Daytona 500 and get a good idea of who we liked. And I'm sure there are a few drivers in there that are going to be in our contest. And you should know by now, based on the contest, the way it all works is pretty simple. Obviously, where the result is, that's the biggest. You're also going to get points for laps led. And the most important one, though, is going to be, well, the secondary important one probably is the amount of movement. So, which really takes more precedent in the super speedway races, either Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta. These are the races that you have a really good chance of gobbling up points with your driver qualifying, say, 35th. And you say, oh, that's okay. I don't mind qualifying 35th because I feel like I'm going to be a top 5 car. Well, let's say you're 5th at the 35th. You've now gobbled up 30 additional spots worth of points. And that goes a long way in you winning your contest every week. So check that out. And let us know, like I said, if you guys are going to be a part of it all season long with us. Or at least if you're going to be, not all season long, but basically if you're just going to be a part of it, you're going to give us a try if you were lucky enough to join our contest this week. Okay. A news release came out, and I got to give Daytona, I got to give NASCAR their props. Whoever made this call, CJ texted me this message about an hour ago. Where is it? Here it is. Due to potential weather forecasted for the Daytona Beach area late Sunday, NASCAR today announced the Daytona 500. And as I'm reading this, knowing everything about NASCAR and how they completely have screwed this weather thing up for as long as I've been following it, this is now going on over 25 years. I did not have a good feeling at this point. I didn't know what it was going to be. I was already thinking, oh, they're going to postpone it till Monday. Something, they're going to do something. And then I'll continue to read. The Daytona 500 will move up 1 hour from its originally scheduled time to now begin at 1:30 Eastern. Holy crap. Can you believe NASCAR off? I mean, they came off of this. Now, this cannot be a coincidence that they just came off this offseason, this legal offseason battle with their drivers and then the teams. And there's, of course, a lot of the discontent is also about, well, you're not listening to us, and we're trying, we need to be a part of everything. Now, I have no idea whose idea this was, but I just can't imagine that the same people who have always been in charge of this for all these years that have never moved up the race that I can recall. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just don't remember it happening. That they actually did the right thing, because the excuse was always, well, we can't screw around with the time, because if we do that, people will tune in and they'll expect it to be at the time we promoted it for a month or whatever. And then it turns out that it actually started about an hour earlier or whatever. And our viewers are going to be frustrated that they missed the beginning of the race. That was always the excuse that we heard. And then what would happen? The weather would come in. They couldn't finish the race, even though everybody knew the forecast said it was going to rain or weather was going to come in, and it could destroy the opportunity for a complete race. But they didn't care. They wanted to start at the time they said they were going to start for their TV rights. Well, that has changed, at least for 1 week. So I have to applaud NASCAR for making the right decision. So that means the race will start at 1:30 Eastern tomorrow. And it's also great because it starts an hour earlier, which is awesome. So we get to watch, instead of waiting till 2:30 for some stupid reason, we get to watch NASCAR a little bit earlier, which is always better in my mind. All right. So anyway, so let's get through that. All right. Now, I tell you what, before we get to the speeds from the past several days, just wrapping up this contest here. And I'm going to give you those drivers I spoke about. Taking a look, because I know CJ's lineup. I've got my lineup. So there are 4 drivers that are going to be in either one of our groups. And I'm not going to give you the easy ones like the Ryan Blaney's or the Joey Logano's. But I am going to, and I'm not even going to give you the Chase Briscoes, because those are the easy ones. And those were also part of our top picks from the other day. I'm going to give you 4 where the salary, because this is a salary cap league. So I'm going to give you 4 where the salaries are a little less than some of the top drivers for obvious reasons that we think stand a better chance of helping your contest out. And they are Josh Berry, Chris Buescher, Eric Jones, and Ryan Preece. So those were the drivers. Okay, those are the ones that are not in the top category that we decided made sense for our contest this week. So hopefully that'll help you guys out if you're interested in that. Now you know, and we'll get into why in just a minute. One more thing, and that is the fact that you can actually challenge someone in these contests. Like, let's say I noticed that there's and then someone who is, let me see if I can put it up here. Can I do that? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So here's everybody who's in the contest. Okay. All the 25. So let's say I said, hey, D Nash 7, I want to challenge you. And it's just me and you. And it's, say, whatever the dollar is. I can say, I guess, $20. Do you want to just go head to head? Whoever gets the most points wins the $20. You can do that. Now, somebody did challenge me I declined, and the reason I declined is because they were not part of our group. And so I'm not going to challenge or be challenged by anyone I don't know. So in case you guys enter the contest in the future and you know it's only part of us, it's our group, it's our viewers, it's just us, and you want to go one-on-one with someone in your group or with CJ or myself, challenge us, that's great. Then that's something just I want to consider. Okay. Let's talk about the speed charts now. It all started with qualifying with Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe taking the front. And of course, Chase was up there last year and it didn't help him out tremendously. He didn't even lead a lot of laps last year. He was on the pole at 4 laps. Didn't win Talladega last year, though. And if you look at it overall, he has led 84 laps in 10 races at Daytona. So he has become a better driver, as we know, with the new team last year, winning Talladega last year. It's one of CJ's top picks this week, and he is driving a Toyota. So that's the thing. That was the big question from earlier in the week. Are there going to be any differences, positive differences that we see in Toyota drivers this week? Because don't forget, in case you, or if you don't know, you have to go back all the way to the 2020 season, the last time a Toyota driver won a race at Daytona. That was Denny Hamlin. He won the Daytona 500 that year. So it's been 11 races since Toyota drivers won at Daytona. Ford and Chevy almost evenly split, Ford 6, Chevy 5. And so far from the speed charts that we see here, not a lot of that has changed. All right, now, one of the Toyotas that has shown a little bit of gumption is Briscoe, obviously, because he's on the front row again. The other Toyotas that I would keep an eye on, now, Corey Haim, you see here, 5th in qualifying. Let's go down here to the duels. He was in duel 2, I believe. Where was he? Where was Haim? Where was he? I don't know. Wait, I thought I saw Haim somewhere else in here. There he is. All right, he was 14th in that duel. And that was the first duel. So he's actually all the way down in 29th. But he's shown, out of all of the Toyotas, he's actually been one of the better Toyota drivers so far. The other Toyota drivers that you want to be keeping an eye on so far from this week would be John Hunter Nemechek. I mentioned him on our Daytona 500 preview show. And Nemechek, the reason I like him, one of the reasons I like him, is you're talking about a driver who has an 11.0 average in 6 cup races at Daytona, which is pretty damn good. His average starting position is 23.3. He was 5th in last year's 500. So John Hunter, let's see where John Hunter is. Let's get to the duels. John Hunter in the duels right here. He's in duel 1. He finished 5th. A very solid 5th. He was the fastest Toyota in that duel. And as far as the starting grid is concerned, let's see, where are we? There we go. John Hunter is in 11th place. So he is the 2nd Toyota. So, matter of fact, Christopher Bell is the 3rd Toyota. And Priest is not Priest. It's Christopher Bell. I was looking at Gibbs. Okay. So the top 3 Toyotas, John Hunter, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe, were all part of our picks on Tuesday. And so we feel pretty good about that because we were a little bit worried taking Toyotas, not knowing how they would run this week. And they really haven't run all that great, but at least the drivers that we took, the Toyotas that we took, have responded so far. So that's good to know. But if you're not one of those names, the only other names that pop up were Corey Haim, as I mentioned, but is he really going to win the race? That would be pretty freaky. Bubba had a pretty good practice run. And, of course, in the duel, he was knocked out. And the other driver to keep an eye on is Eric Jones. And where's Eric going to start? He's going to start 24th. So he is not a bad fantasy pick. All the way down 24th. He's somebody that we talked about as a nice long shot. He has 3 top 5s and a win in his career. He also has 7 DNFs. But more importantly, in his last 5 races, he's got an average of 12.0. And he was 5th in August, leading 10 laps. So those would be the Toyotas, just based on what we've seen. Of course, Denny Hamlin is the other obvious one, but Denny's odds were just way too low when we mentioned that the other day. I'm going to see if I noticed an uptick. I'm going to see if I can pop up the latest odds for the race from, let's see if I can get that in here. I really don't understand what they're doing. This just bothers me. There's this new thing they're doing on this DraftKings thing. It just fucking pisses me off. You log on and it just like decides to change from what you want, like motorsports, to whatever, football, basketball. Yeah, they don't have the odds. They moved the odds out. See, this is the thing that's also silly. I've mentioned this before. I don't know why they moved the odds out. Just because of the O'Reilly Auto Parts race. I just don't understand it. I mean, all right, so you have Justin Allgaier, Carson Hocevar. Is that it? Two Cup drivers are in the race, and is that the reason that you're going to be you're going to leave the odds out until tomorrow or later after the race? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Of course, Austin Hill is the favorite at 3-1, as he always should be. Jesse Love is not far behind either now. So you got 2 heavy favorites to win the race today. Justin Allgaier is not a bad idea, though. I always like taking Justin because he's usually around 10-1, and he's usually around the top, in these races. I guess the race will be getting underway in a couple hours. So, yeah, we don't have any updated odds, unfortunately, because of the O'Reilly race. But, okay. Now, moving on. Let's take a look. That's basically the deal for Toyotas, okay? So we've given you the Toyota skinny. Let's talk Chevy. Kyle Busch getting the pole. How cool was that? It felt good because Kyle was my top sleeper for the championship at 45-1. So this is a good sign that something positive to get any positive news Kyle Busch and that team can get to start a season is so important if they're going to have a good season. So, yeah, that was nice. But remember, Kyle Busch has only won, one race, I believe? Yes, 1 race in 41 appearances at Daytona. 1. And the thing is, Kyle knows how to draft. Kyle can draft. He's led over 500 laps. But it just shows you it is a freak show out there, and there's a lot of luck involved, and Kyle has not had a lot of luck go his way. He's never won. Kyle Busch has never won the Daytona 500. Okay, so also taking a look at the duels with the Chevys, there you see Dylan is the top Chevy SVG. Daniel Suarez, somebody that CJ likes. So he is inside the top 10 there. Alex Bowman is also someone that I believe Alex Bowman is CJ's official sleeper or long shot championship because he was also a big number. But yeah, it might have been sleeper at 45-1 along with Kyle. And then duel 2, Chase Elliott. By the way, there's Carson Hocevar again. Here are the 4 Chevys up front in duel number 2. All right, so that's a good sign for Chevys. There's my Ford, Josh Berry. Take a look at what other Fords are here. Zane Smith, Austin Cindric was in this group, but poor Austin Cindric. See what happens when he doesn't have Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney in his duel. So this was dominated by Chevys. Only 1 Toyota in the top 8. So that was dominated by Chevys. Fords were a lot better here. But that's, of course, a lot of that has to do with having Logano and Blaney in there. So that's, look, here's the deal. When it comes to, and I'll move over to the starting lineup. here's the deal with the insignificance mostly of qualifying and practice at Daytona. 10 of the last 16 winners at Daytona started outside the top 10. They include starting positions of 20th, 21st, 29th, and 31st. If you take a look at Blaney's win last year, it happened actually in August. It happened from the pole. So he wins from the pole in August at the Coke race in August at Daytona. Remember this, he was only on the pole because rain wiped out qualifying. So they went to their silly rule system, and Blaney happened to be on the pole. Now, so look, you might look at that and just say it's a sign that Kyle Busch or Chase Briscoe will do well or win, or not do well, win. Because the last time a driver won from the pole or just the front row at Daytona, you have to go all the way back to 2015. 2015. That's the last time any driver has won at Daytona from the top row. That was broken in August. But that was a kind of freak reason because of the rain. But like I said, is it a sign Kyle or Chase will keep that going? Or is that just something, hey, you need to keep in mind that just because Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe are on the pole, if anything, maybe that's a bad thing. All right. And look, normally when we go through this every week, we're going to really take a look at the history of qualifying and practice related to the drivers that you should be keeping an eye on. That has a lot more effect normally on some of the other races. Unfortunately, next week we'll be in Atlanta. So we're going to kind of do it all over again, and qualifying and practice is not going to amount to a whole lot. So we kind of got to wait until we're at the Circuit of the Americas for the race in Texas before any of that really starts to normalize. And when that happens, that's what we'll do. We'll take a look at the history. We'll take a look at what happens in qualifying and practice that week, match the speeds and the placements, and also give you an idea of what you should be looking forward to for that race, which is usually, of course, the next day. But since this is Daytona, let's just kind of wrap this up by letting you know just a couple of quick tidbits in case you weren't with us earlier this week. And you want to check out the links in the description for the in-depth 500 preview. That's the one from 2 weeks ago. Last week, we did both a season-long preview. We went over the championship odds. We went all over our championship picks, sleeper picks, long shot picks, and a bunch of other stuff. Also added some notes on the fantasy contest and the Daytona 500. So really what you're looking at is this is definitely a week that we feel strongly that you should be, especially in the contest. Don't outsmart yourself. Logano and Blaney, they are the kings together. There's no better two pair out there at Daytona right now than Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. Of course, look, William Byron is going to be starting way back, and that might actually be an interesting play because, as I said, you kind of want to take drivers that are going to be starting way back so they can gobble up points. The thing I'm a little bit concerned with William Byron, even when he's starting 39th, is just the fact that he's won back-to-back Daytona 500s with a lot of luck. You have to have it. And is this going to be one of those years, though, where, because look, if you're in a wreck, especially early, you're like in the first wreck, you're all the way, you're going to be finishing in the 30s, whatever, and you're not going to lead any laps, and you're not going to get any points, basically. And it's going to be that type of a week for you. So that's the thing that worries me about taking William Byron. But I will say this, if you're a William Byron fan, if you've taken him the last couple of years and he's won money for you, to just keep it going, man. Just take him. Why not? Imagine if William Byron wins this race on Sunday and he wins it from the 39th position. Whoever picks William Byron in their fantasy contest is going to be in great shape. Okay. Also, Denny Hamlin, we talked about the fact that we did not like him as a co-favorite type because keep in mind, since next gen, Denny's got a 26.4 average with a best finishing result of 17th. He is a very good, one of the better drafters out there, but he has gone through just all sorts of issues with the next gen Toyota. Larson still is overvalued at this point, and that's a big reason why we just are not going to take Kyle Larson. We're just not until Kyle Larson. Hey, if he wants to beat us, he'll beat us. And to us, it'll just be like Corey Heim winning. But I'd rather take my chances at 50 to 1 or 75 to 1 than at 12 to 1 with Kyle Larson. Let's see. Also of note, let's see here. Elliott looks pretty good so far. Remember, he's never won at Daytona. 3 top 5s in 20 career races. Brad Keselowski has 11 DNFs in his last 18 trips to Daytona. Has 1 win. That was the Coke race in 2016. Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe. There are a couple of Toyotas with decent odds, 18, 22 to 1 range. And again, Briscoe, we told you his information. Christopher Bell, he crashed in last year's 500, but before that, he averaged 7.6. That was his average finish in his other 5 races over his 6 with 3 third-place finishes. That's why it's 7.6. And last year, he was 31st with the crash and 13th in the other race. So last year was not good for him. Just imagine what his average was prior to last year. And he's got a 4.5 average in the O'Neill races. And the O'Reilly races over his last 4. So the last 4 times he raced at Daytona in the O'Reilly series, he had a 4.5 average. And also remember, he won Atlanta last year. So he knows what he's doing as far as the draft. Bubba's got 3 career runner-ups, including 2 in the Daytona 500. Let's see what else pops up. Chris Buescher's got a Coke win in 2023. He's got an 8.3 average with a win in his last 6 with 0 DNFs. And Chris Buescher is starting way back. So that's why we like him, Chris Buescher. It's a nice little sleeper. Alex Bowman has an 11.8 average in his last 6 races at Daytona. His average was 7.0 before August. 7.0 in his last 5 before August. Then he crashed on lap 27, finished 36th, and the average went up to 11.8. But he's never won in 54 super speedway races between Atlanta, Daytona, and Talladega. Tyler Reddick was second in last year's Daytona 500. He's got 2 runner-up finishes at Daytona. But he also has DNF'd 50% of the time and hasn't led a lap in his last 6 races at Daytona. Ricky Stenhouse has 2 Daytona wins, including the 2023 Daytona 500, but he's also DNF'd in 6 of his last 8 races. Those are all next gens. But he's got a win, 2023. Daniel Suarez, if you look at his 11 DNFs and 17 Daytona races, that definitely makes you go, why on earth would I take that? 64% of the time he's DNF'd at Daytona. But he's with a different team. He was runner-up in August as well. So, and he had a pretty decent run this week. And I know CJ likes him. Josh Berry was 9th in August. He's driving for the Wood brothers, and we know that's a good sign for Daytona. Because Josh does not have usually a great history, but the 9th in August was a good sign, and he's so far looking pretty decent. Look, he's driving a Ford Wood Brothers car at Daytona. You got to give him something. We showed you Austin Dillon in a good position there. Well, he's got 2 excuse me, yeah, 2 wins at Daytona, 1 in the Daytona 500. But he's got a 28.6 average since his 2022 win. And let's see, anybody else that sticks out? I think we went through everybody. Oh, Cody Ware. Where is Cody Ware? Where did I see Cody? Where's Cody Ware? Cody Ware. He's starting 33rd. So Cody Ware led 23 laps in August from the 20th position. So if you took Cody Ware in your contest last year, you gobbled up a lot of points. Matter of fact, he has a 14.3 average in his last 6 races at Daytona. That's pretty good for Cody Ware. Okay. Oh, Zane Smith. He has 2 Daytona wins, both in the truck series. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know what's on your mind, questions, comments, especially about the new contest, because we want, like I said, I really would like to have the contest filled of just our viewers, our group here. And I really would like to know what you guys feel about the contest, and if you've entered, if you haven't, why, if you'd like to enter, all that other stuff. Anything on your mind regarding the contest, let us know. And have a great time watching the racing later on today, and especially tomorrow, 1 hour early, starting at 1:30 on Sunday. That's a good sign that they'll get that race in. And also, let's hope if they do weather-wise, let's just keep our fingers crossed that the race will end under green. So have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see everyone else for football fans tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm going to talk some Denver Broncos football with Chris Thomason, who covers the Denver Broncos. So for you Denver Bronco fans out there, that's tonight, 8 o'clock, Ourlads Football Network, Proline TV. And also tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to talk about the Carolina Panthers. So for you Carolina NASCAR fans, I know there's a lot of you. And also, I'm sure there's a lot of Panther fans out there that are NASCAR fans. We are going to do that tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Rashad Beard. So, of course, he covers the Carolina Panthers on his YouTube channel. So, still talking football. Denver tonight, Carolina tomorrow, right here on Proline TV and the Ourlads Football Network. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see